So you're about to go into the new year and you're at a job that you don't like and you want to figure out what to do about it. This week on Motivation and Confidence, we have 3 reasons why you hate your job. Stay tuned. There comes a time in your life when you have to, as they say, close a chapter. Like you close one chapter and you start something new. And if you've been following along on a journey, I finally closed the chapter of a career that I was in. And before we go any further, welcome to Motivation and Confidence, where we help you do your daily best. And I'm your host, Tom Danger. As always, please like, subscribe, and share. We appreciate the people that have been reaching out to be on the podcast as featured guests. We will get back to you. I will get back to you, or Grace. We're just a two-man team. And we're excited to have you on the platform to share your story and your messages. Visit us at tomdanger.com. That's TOMDANGER.com. Go to the contact section and you can submit a request. And if the subject matter fits the format of the show, we'll send you a calendar link. We'll make it happen. So, changing the page or turning the page or moving on, there's so many different ways that we can phrase this. But finally moved on from the gig that I was at. And sometimes when you are in a particular job, like you have certain struggles that you may deal with, and actually have 3 reasons why you would hate your job. Now I can say this freely because I'm not with any particular employer. But I think that it's powerful to help you understand and how you can navigate your particular situations. So when you're in a role at a company, one of the main reasons that, let me take a step back. When I was at the job that I was in for a decade, one of the things that was most challenging was dealing with the manager's personality. Some managers, they have their own issues that they need to deal with. And learning to understand people, don't allow a person's personal grievance or personal struggle to throw you off from who you are. I had one manager who struggled with authority. Clearly, as a child, he was bullied. And now, when he got into a position of authority, he abused his power. And it was sad because I looked up to him and I admired his intelligence and competence. But because he always wanted to show that he was the strongest arm in the room, it actually made him the weakest in the room. And it showed his insecurity. And we could talk about young people versus old people. But this is more about respect for each other. If you're building a team and you have a weakness, you want to fill your weakness with a person who is strong in that area. Now, when that person brings that strength to the table, you don't want to backlash them for showing you what they're good for. You want to commend them for doing it. Because in the end, that's going to make you look better. But if you always have this superiority complex to where you have to be right and you are in control and power and all this, then you're going to instill fear. And if you instill fear, your team won't necessarily trust you because they're functioning from a different mind state. It's the threatening mind state of, if I don't do what I'm told, even though I don't agree with it, I'm going to get fired, and don't believe that. I know I'm going to sound like I'm from another planet, but this is the truth. All of us have talents, and we have the resources to maintain ourselves, whether or not we have a job. Now, whether or not you believe that, that's on you. But don't live in that fearful mind state and allow people to treat you less than a dignified human being because of their own insecurity. So that brings me to the point of, excuse me, one of the reasons why you may hate your job is because of management. There are certain people who are put in a position of a manager, not even because they're qualified, it's just because they're there, right? You can have a company where there's a team, and when people start to jump ship or leave because of that fear or look for additional opportunities, there's a person that's left. So a strategy or a technique that some managers do use is that they will automatically promote that particular person. Disclaimer, this is not meant to anyone that I've ever worked with in the past. This is what I've seen throughout my career. Right? Let me just throw that out there just in case this makes its way on LinkedIn and people check it out. You know, saying like, oh, Thomas is trying to... Nah, it's not even like that. But certain managers are not ready to be managers, but they're put into the role of a manager. And even when you're put into the role of a manager, it's continual training. So as a director, when you're grooming your managers, you have to put them on a training path that will help them to identify what their strengths and weaknesses are. Shameless plug, like I always say, and if you don't know what your strengths and weaknesses are, feel free to hit us at tomdanger.com, and we can give you a free assessment. It only takes about 15 minutes to complete the assessment, and we'll do a 15-minute call with you to help you identify what your superpower is, and it will help you identify what roles you're good at and not good at, okay? But the second reason that you may hate your job, and I'm pretty sure that you can identify with this, is that when you're in a particular job, if you don't have support, like not everybody pulls their weight evenly. Like you have some people that just show up for the check, and you have certain people who are overachievers. And I know that you can totally understand this, is like nothing grinds your gears more than to see like you're coming in and you're breaking your back, and then somebody else is doing the bare minimum, but they get the same amount of pay as you. And then you're just as tired. And then when you look to your manager to ask them for help, they sort of just say like, well, this is the way that things are, and it's only temporarily. I'm pretty sure it won't be like this forever. But when they say like it won't be like this forever, then before you know it, it's like 5 years pass you by. System is broke, hasn't been fixed. So you want to make sure whatever company you're in that you're getting the support that you need. And then going back to the first point, learn how to manage up. And what is meant by managing up? Managing up is basically having a line of communication to your manager or director to communicate to them what they need to do to help you do your job more effectively. Now, if you don't communicate that to them, and if you're in a crappy situation, you're just as much to blame as they are, because you're not even putting it out there for them to address it, right? When you put it out there and say like, look, we're short-staffed, or we need the supplies, or we need these resources, I can't do my job effectively, and they yes you to death, and they don't change it, that's a clear indication that you're not in the right place, because that person doesn't want to do their job. And if they don't want to do their job, then you can't do your job effectively. Okay? And lastly, just to bring it to full circle, I know we're speeding through these, but it's one of these things that we sort of overlook, even in a job or as an entrepreneur or starting a new business, is that you're not aligned. And what do I mean by aligned? You should be able to identify what you're good at and what you're bad at. Not just taking on a role because you need a paycheck. Because when you take on a role just because you need a paycheck, 9 times out of 10, you're not in the role that you should be in because you're functioning from a state of fear. And when you're functioning from a state of fear, then you're going to go back into stress and you're going to go back into not communicating effectively. So how do you identify how you are aligned? Get a sheet of paper. Draw a line down the middle. Like on one side, dislike on the other. What I would say to do is write down all the things you like doing, all the things you dislike doing. From that list, circle from each side how many of the things that you like and dislike are in line with your current role of what you do. And if you see that more of the things that are on the dislike side, it's a clear indication you need to look for another path. Or, if you like, you could also take some sort of assessment that we're more than happy to help you with. But this is what I've learned in the past decade of working with my previous employer, to stay on course, to function effectively. And it's not easy. It's not easy because not all managers can accept constructive criticism. Or not even more, some managers don't even leave the door open to where you can communicate. You have some managers to where they always act as if they're so busy that they don't make time for you. And if they don't make time for you, then they don't want to see you grow. And if they don't want to see you grow, then again, that's not the place for you. Please like, subscribe, share, or leave a comment. This is Motivation and Confidence, where we help you do your daily best.